Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Kristie. Welcome to my home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I can't wait to show you around. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Kristie McGowan. I am an interior designer with a firm called Kristie McGowan Home, and welcome to my home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. My family and I have lived in this home for about 10 years, and the architectural style is very traditional Southern. The home itself is about 22 years old, and we are the third owners of this house. When we first moved in, it was totally different than it is now. It was beautiful in its own right because it has amazing architectural details, but it was very gray and neutral. And it didn't have as much texture and color and everything that it does now. And so we really added a lot of the architectural details on the ceiling and the walls, and really played up some of the features that the home has. Professionally and educationally, my background is actually in textiles. I have a PhD in textile technology and management, which is what originally brought me to North Carolina, was to do my master's, which then turned into a PhD in my later years. I have always loved interiors, and I have always enjoyed it, but I think when you're a little bit younger, and I see this a lot in college kids, is you don't appreciate home as much, and interiors and fashion is really exciting. So the early part of my career was more in the fashion industry, and then the later part of my career is really where I transitioned and realized that yes, I have a passion for fashion, but I actually have more of a passion for interiors and bringing a home to life and kind of creating an amazing home, but also sharing that with people. I also have another side of my company, which is content creation, which is sharing ways for people to be able to create homes that they love and really embrace their own personal style, so that they have a home that they absolutely adore and just brings them joy when they walk in the door. Welcome to the entry of my home. And one of the things that I absolutely was drawn to with this house was how big our entryway is, because I can treat it as an entirely separate room from the rest of the house. And so some of my favorite things in here are the pink grasscloth ceiling, which a lot of times people don't notice until they've actually been in our home a couple of times. But I absolutely adore the color pink. And so to put it in our entryway was really important to me. We have this table that kind of centers the room, which is really fun. And art is something that I just absolutely adore. And so this book is called Wonderland, and it is by an amazing photographer, and she makes all of the costumes and all of the backdrops and everything, and does all of the makeup and everything in this book. And so we actually love to change out each page and kind of display something a little bit different every time. This piece actually, it was one of the first big pieces of furniture that my husband and I purchased when we got married. And we still always try to find a space for it. It was made from an old antique ship, I think, is what they had told us. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but it was a great story and it sold us on it. And then art is something that you'll see throughout my home. And so the entryway really sets the tone for the rest of the house with art. And so I have some really fun pieces here. I was an exchange student to the Netherlands in high school for a year. And so this piece of art I have had for over 30 years, and it was the goodbye gift from my host mother. She had made it. She was an artist. And so I love having that prominently displayed in my house. It has the Dutch tulips in it. This piece of art is actually really fun. So this was made by one of my followers on Instagram. She's an artist, and actually she creates faux pastries and food, and that is what she usually does for bakeries and restaurants. And she asked if she could create something for me, and I had asked if maybe she could do some donuts or something that I could display on the wall instead of displaying in like a case. And so this is a super fun piece of art that I just love. It's fun and it's quirky and eclectic, and I think that it really kind of just sets the tone for our house in our entryway. This portrait was actually found at a yard sale. It was a yard sale of a vintage dealer, so I got so lucky. I was totally drawn by the colors, and I love that she's sitting at the bottom of our stairs. When my kids were younger, I used to say she was keeping an eye on them. And so I just think that she looks like she has a story to tell. And so I love displaying that right here. Another fun thing is this chandelier is amazing. It's about 100 pounds. It's marble, but I found it in somebody's attic. So my husband and I had gone to a moving sale for another item that I had seen, and I asked the owner if she had anything else that we could maybe look at, and she said, well, I have some lights in the attic if you want to go look. And so we climbed into the attic, and this light was here, and I could not get it out of that house fast enough. I absolutely love it. I did not know where it was going to go when we got it, but I just knew that it was so special that, and now it tells such a fun story. We actually had to have our ceiling reinforced in order to have it installed. So I absolutely love this light fixture, and I think that it is fun and it sets the tone for a couple other details that I will share throughout the house. One of the things that I love about this house is that the architectural details, there were some that were already here and some that were not. We got really lucky with our amazing arched doorways, and so I love kind of having that highlighted. And we also were lucky that we have a multi-piece crown molding that goes all the way around. And it already had all of this wainscoting in here. We just had to add in the high gloss paint, and we layered in here. This room is layered in the whites on the walls, and it's the same color white as it is on the wall and the trim. And actually, I have these two pieces that flank either side of my door. And these were purchased individually, but I had them both lacquered the same color as the walls, just because I thought it would be fun. They don't match, but they do match. They go together. Both were found in like vintage stores, kind of just tucked away. And so I got really lucky on finding both of them, and that the size kind of fits and flanks the doorway. I also have lots of different things just layered in. So for example, these are ornaments that somebody had given me, and I just think that they're so stunning that I don't just take them out for the holidays. I leave them out and display them year round because they have everything that I love, which is color, texture, and also sparkle. And so those are amazing. And then we just have lots of things that are kind of layered throughout the home. And so I love interior design books. I always have, even when I was more focused on the fashion industry. And so I always try to keep those books displayed. This was actually found for free. Somebody had posted it on Facebook Marketplace for free, saying that it needed to be refinished. They had started sanding it down, I guess. And I picked it up and kept it the way that it was. I actually love that it's slightly unfinished. I wrapped some fabric around the cushion on it, but I just think that finding things like that is just so much fun. And of course, adding in different pillows and textures and everything. I know that everyone has these pillows right now, but if I did have a mantra, I would say that this is one of them, which it says, the best things in life are free and the second best are very expensive. And I think that probably sums up a lot of the things that are in my house. There's a lot of high and low going on in this house. You will see that I do have some like different animal heads. So this crane came from a company in Raleigh. And so Furbish Studio is actually based out of Raleigh. They do this pillow as well, but I got this maybe at least, I don't know, 12 years ago. And I just thought the fact that it has a mohawk and everything was amazing. And then this piece of art here is a photography print that I had seen posted online years and years ago. And the person used to have an Instagram page. I think that they still do, but they were selling these prints. And I just thought that the colors and the orientation of it were awesome. And so I got the print, I was able to have it printed out locally and then had it framed. And so I love having that. I just always feel like bigger is better. So a lot of times people try to go for a smaller scale in a space, especially like an entryway like this. But I actually think that sometimes having pieces that are a little bit oversized actually makes a room feel bigger rather than smaller. And I would say having this large round table right in the center of the room to really kind of center the room. And then also kind of having these oversized Kelly Wearstler lamps. They have a lot of texture, they make a statement, but it also kind of brings the entire room together. Throughout my home as well, you will see we have black windows and doors. So when we bought the house, the outside of the windows, the entire exterior had black windows and doors, but the inside, everything was white. And so one of the first things that we did was we coated all of the walls in a beautiful white, simply white. It's one of my favorites. But we also had all of the inside windows and doors painted in a black. And I just think that it really makes them more interesting. It adds an architectural detail to something that I think is oftentimes forgotten. And it also ties in the exterior to the interior of the house. And so it makes it a little bit more interesting. One of the defining features off of the entryway of the home is this gallery wall of mirrors. And I absolutely love mirrors because they reflect light. And I just think that they're such statement pieces. And so I had collected so many of them, we decided to put them up the stairs here. And so they follow all the way up the stairs, and it's always an amazing conversation piece. The other thing that we have here is we have this dog door. So I have this antelope runner that I had coveted for so long. And so I didn't want to block it off, but we had an older dog a couple years ago and she would get stuck on the stairs. And so we wanted to come up with a solution that she would be safe, but also that we could still enjoy our runner. And so we had this dog door made so that we can easily block off the stairs if we need to, but we can still enjoy the beautiful runner that goes up it. My personal sense of style, I always say, is traditional with a twist. I have a really colorful Southern style, and I try to bring that in on the interiors. We try not to take ourselves too seriously here and just really have fun. I have 2 teenagers that live with us. We have a dog. We really live in our home and we want to enjoy it. And so I think the inside really reflects that. It's comfortable and cozy, but it's also, I think, unexpected from when you walk in the front door to what you might be expecting. It's kind of a color pattern and texture explosion. So here we are in the dining room of my home. It is right off of the entry, so it has a fairly focal place in our home. And again, everyone is hit with a lot of color when they get here. So the art in this particular room has actually all been made by myself, and then also a piece that my kids made when they were younger. And so when we first moved in, we painted everything white just to kind of get started with where we wanted to go with the home. I was also in the last year of my PhD program, and so I didn't have a ton of time to be able to decorate, but I really wanted to be able to fill the walls. And so my kids and I started painting these pieces just so that we would have something to be able to fill the walls. And I had always thought that it would be a little bit temporary, but it has become something that's like a staple in our home. And actually, I have lots of people on Instagram that ask if they can purchase the prints to these. So because they're just fun and they make a statement. Everyone always asks me what my thought process was when I picked the colors in them, and I actually didn't have a thought process. Literally, it's kind of my mantra for decorating the home is that I just chose colors, and you see lots of colors that are repeated throughout my home. So this really sets the stage because I think almost every single one of these colors is repeated somewhere else in my home. We were lucky enough that we had all this beautiful wainscoting around the house. But it had a tray ceiling, and I am not a super fan of just a plain tray ceiling. It felt like there wasn't super purposeful. And so I have an amazing trim carpenter, and I had this idea for this kind of star on the ceiling. And I reached out to him and asked if it would be possible. And he said, yeah, he had to really think about how he would do it. And about a year later, he finally got back in touch with me and said he was ready to go ahead and work on the ceiling. And so together we kind of came up with what we want the design to be. And then he just absolutely expertly crafted this ceiling, which has really become like a significant architectural detail in the house. And I just can't even imagine the house without it. We then, once it was finished, we sprayed it with a high gloss white. And I just absolutely love the texture and the geometric shape that it brings to the room. The table is a secondhand find. You'll find that that's actually common throughout my home, is that a lot of things here are secondhand finds. And I just loved the turned legs. It extends, so if we want to be able to entertain in here, we can. But actually, you'll see that it's set up with books because, quite honestly, this table is used more as like a workstation for us, whether it's doing crafts or little projects, than it is for dining. But I am not ready to let go of having a formal dining room. So we just let it be what it is and absolutely adore it. I did pair these, Pantone style chairs with this table. I thought that it was just a fun, super modern contrast to this much more traditional style table, and it just felt right. The other thing that people always ask with these chairs, or when they come and they visit our house, is they're so comfortable. These chairs are the most comfortable chairs ever. I layered them a little bit just so that we could cozy it up a little bit. But I absolutely adore them. We also have our coffee station here. This is a traditional bar cart. We actually transformed it into a coffee cart. And so this is where we get our coffee from every morning. My kids also love to be able to do drinks and other things where they put their flavorings in it. But, a bar cart didn't necessarily work for us, but a coffee and tea and hot chocolate cart absolutely does. We live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And for anyone that doesn't know, the university here, which is University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the mascot is a ram. And so I love to add touches of Carolina blue, but also rams throughout my house, just as an ode to our hometown. And so this wall shelf was something that I found in a secondhand store. And I just love that we kind of have that touch of Carolina right in the dining room. And then this piece of art is actually a piece that my kids did when they were really little. They had these markers that had paint dots, and they just did whatever colors and everything that they wanted. And so I had kept it and framed it. And I actually framed it more as a placeholder years ago. And now I just can't imagine replacing it. And so I absolutely love that we have that. Plates are another thing that I just love hanging on a wall. And you'll see that throughout my house a bit. These plates I thought were just the most beautiful colors and shades of purple and pink. And so these kind of flank this wall. It's a little bit unexpected. This is the traditional with a twist, because a plate wall in the South is super traditional. And the twist is in the colors and maybe a little bit of the orientation that we have. I also have the hot pink gradient rug that's in here, which is super fun. I'm lucky enough to work with a rug brand, and so we do get lots of fun rugs coming in and out of our house. And this one I just love. I love the color. My favorite color is pink, and so to be able to have it in our dining room is amazing. It does cast a little bit of a pink glow throughout the room, which makes it super fun. And then these chairs, I found them in a store in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just fell in love with the color and the clean lines of them. And these chairs have moved throughout my house in multiple different rooms. I love moving furniture around. And so these ones have found a place in multiple rooms. The color just works. I don't know if you've heard of the unexpected red theory. It was going around social media for a while, but it says that every room should have a pop of red in it. And so this is kind of my pop of red in this room that's kind of showing. And then I have these amazing needlepoint pillows. I have one on each chair. These were found at a local estate sale for an organist who recently retired. I think he was fairly well known. He recently retired and moved into an assisted living facility. And so he had an amazing assortment of things. So I went to his estate sale recently and found those. And again, I just love the pattern, the texture. I love that they don't both match, but they coordinate with each other, but they're not exact. And then these pieces of art, again, were something that I had done years and years ago. I was trying to fill the walls in my home. At that time, I was finishing up my PhD in textiles, and they had this denim-y color. And so I just loved kind of having that denim and blue color in those paintings. They're both a little bit different. I let the paint run and drip and just really had a lot of fun with it. This piece has been with my husband and I for many years, and it's actually a TV cabinet. So one thing that people may or may not realize about North Carolina is that we have furniture market here. And so there's lots of furniture companies that are in North Carolina. Because Furniture Market is hosted about 45 minutes from here, we also get access to lots of amazing pieces that are samples from different companies. And this piece was actually a sample. It was, it's intended to be a TV cabinet, and we actually turned it into a bar cabinet because, again, your house has to work for you. And so we just decided that this is what was more functional for us. When it got delivered, we had totally underestimated the size of it, and it would not fit through our doorway. So it sat in our garage for a couple of months until we could have someone come and actually widen the door of the room that it was going into so that we could actually get it in there, because at that point we were very committed to making it work. So because it felt like an investment for us at that point, and it's just such a special piece. I've never seen anything like it. Now I would love to show you our sweet little powder room that is right here off of our main entry. And this powder room, actually, when we bought the house, was double the size. And it just felt too big for the needs for our family. And it also took away valuable space for what we needed to be able to use in the kitchen. And so we cut the size down a bit, but we still wanted to really make a statement. And so this wallpaper is an Ellie Cashman wallpaper. And I was drawn to the pattern and the design and kind of how bold and romantic it is, but also because I mentioned that I was an exchange student in the Netherlands, and this wallpaper is by an American who lives in the Netherlands. And so she hand paints everything, and then it all gets printed onto the wallpapers. And so I just think it's stunning. It has so many fun little details in it. There's little tiny bugs, and the more you look at it, the more you see some of the special details. We put in a really small open sink in here, and my husband and I hand drew the template for the backsplash to make sure that we got the exact shape that we wanted, and our fabricators then copied that shape exactly, and we just absolutely love it. The lucite legs, Lucite makes statement in our repeated statement in our house in multiple ways. And so I love that this is open and airy, but it's modern, but it's also traditional at the same time. We keep it fairly simple in here. I never want to cover up the wallpaper. This mirror was actually found at a local vintage store, and I was looking for something that was different. I had gone in and I just asked them if they had anything else, and it turns out that they actually had an entire stock of mirrors in the back room, and so they let me sift through them. I found this one. I absolutely fell in love with it, and it's perfect in here. It's feminine, but it also is striking, and I can never get enough mirrors. And then one of the most fun pieces in here, so again, I mentioned like you'll see colors repeated throughout my home, and this is one of those colors that is repeated throughout my home. This piece of art was found at a local store that was closing, and they had a really amazing selection of old and new items. This was one of their older items. This is from 1964. I fell in love with it because I just loved the portrait of this woman. I loved the expression on her face and her earrings and her clothes and the color. But the most fun part of it is that after I purchased it, when I turned it around, it had the name of the woman is Genevieve. And the person that introduced my husband and I is named Genevieve. And so this piece of art just felt like it was totally meant to be. And so I love having her hung in this room. I think that her colors really bring out the colors in the wallpaper. The other thing that we did that I always encourage people is to use pocket doors. Like, there's such an amazing way to save space when you don't have a lot of space. And so we added pocket doors to this powder room, and it just adds so much functionality because as much as I want a house to be beautiful, it also has to be functional. My design and color mantra is more is more. I just absolutely love adding layers. I also think that that a home needs to reflect the people that live in it. And so it's really important to me that the home reflects our color and our sense of fun and just kind of not taking ourselves too seriously. And so I always say, if I like it, then it's going to be in my home. It might not be for everyone. So my style is a maximalist style that is curated and edited. And also everything has a sense of purpose. As I've gotten older, I really try to make sure that the things in my home are things that I love, and I edit things out and I move things out just to make sure that everything reflects that. My kids actually always laugh and make fun of me a little bit because I'm always walking through the house carrying something, and they're always wondering if it's something that's coming or something that's going, because I just love moving things around the house and also moving things out if it's not working for us anymore, and bringing something in if I find something and it just is amazing and I want to add it to our home. So the best compliment that somebody can give me about my home is that even if they've been here multiple times, they still feel like there's always something to see or something that they haven't noticed before. And they're just so interested in seeing everything. And I think that is kind of exciting because I never want someone's eyes to rest in just one space. And I also think that homes should tell a story and have a lot to look at and not just be kind of stale. And so people always say that. The other thing that people say is that it's just not what they expected when they walk in the front door because of the neighborhood that we live in and kind of just, I think, what they're expecting in terms of like a traditional Southern exterior, and then they walk in and it has that twist. And now I'm going to show you the living room of our home. And this is really kind of the heart of the home. It's one of the central rooms in this house. And it did not look anything like this when we purchased the home 10 years ago. It used to have really short built-ins here that were also not symmetrical to one another. And so we took those built-ins out and we replaced them and brought them all the way up to the ceiling, which is one of my favorite tips to do with cabinetry, whether it's built-ins or kitchen cabinets, is to always bring the cabinetry up to the ceiling. We added this really neat stair step detail to it, and I had asked the trim carpenter to also create this little lip right here. It adds some texture, but it also made it so that I could go in and gold leaf the edges of this just to show off the architectural details a little bit. We actually added mirror to the back of the built-ins because the mirror helps reflect light. It helps it make the room and kind of this downstairs space feel really big, and we absolutely just adore it. So the built-ins are painted with this amazing blue color. I knew that I wanted to do some shade of blue, and when I saw this color from Farrow and Ball, I knew that we wanted to paint it this color. And so it's just really fun. It's a little bit unexpected. It's a total pop of color for this space. And then I have the shelves just filled with all sorts of different collected items. These lamps are actually fairly new to me. I got them at a local estate sale. I had mentioned the needlepoint pillows from the dining room, and these were from that same estate sale. They're super old. I think they actually had them made from a candlestick into a lamp. The thread on them, I'm always drawn to like the textiles of things based on my background, but it's real gold thread. And so they just felt so special. Again, it has this pop of like reddish pink that I have throughout my home. And I just absolutely adore these. I think they're special and unique and just kind of everything that I want for my home. I could not believe that they were still there when I went there. One of the things that is not super obvious when you walk into the room is that the walls in this room actually have a cream grass cloth on them. The grass cloth is the same color as the white on the rest of the walls in my house, and I just felt like we needed to cozy up the space a little bit. We have really tall ceilings in here. They have beautiful coffered details, but I wanted the room to feel like it hugs you a little bit when you walk in, and the grass cloth really was able to warm it up. When we did our built-ins, we also had to redo the mantle. While we were doing it, we had a super traditional mantle. The fireplace actually was a gas fireplace, but it didn't work. And so I was thrilled that it was broken because it gave us an opportunity and a reason to have to replace it. And we decided to replace it with all marble. I have an amazing fabricator who was able to help me come up with something that was modern yet classic. And so we came up with this design. We were able to make a really nice big gas fireplace that obviously our dog loves to sit in front of, and actually our whole family just loves this season where we can turn the fireplace on. But this mantle is just kind of beautiful and elegant, and also really adds a modern touch. This room, obviously one of the most striking things is this artwork. This is by Nashville artist Gina Julian, and it's an op art piece. And when I saw it, I immediately thought that it could work with the blue of the built-ins because I hadn't quite figured out what I was going to put with our blue built-ins. And I saw this piece of art, and it just has every color that is in our house, and it's just beautiful and big, and I absolutely adore being able to feature this in kind of in such a focal place in our house. Pretty much everything in this room is actually a second-hand find except for this couch. The couch is the only thing that I actually purchased new in here. So these chairs I found not too long ago on Facebook Marketplace. It has this amazing Brunswick and Phil's fabric on it. I loved the tans, and again, that pop of that like pinks and reds that are in there. They are super duper comfortable. We have this table here is from a vintage dealer in Charlotte, and it has the malachite on it. It's a green, green painted malachite, and I just love using glass tables in spaces because I feel like it allows it to ground this space, but it also opens it up. And so I've just layered it with all sorts of fun things. I don't tend to have lots of collections, but one collection that I have is I just, for some reason, absolutely love marble eggs. And so every time I find them, I kind of add them little places. And so this is a really fun table. Again, this table moves all over my house. I have always wanted a draped wicker table. And this particular one I found at an antique shop about an hour away. And I was thrilled when I saw it. It was totally yellowed in color, but it reminds me of draped fabric. And obviously with my background, it just felt perfect. And when I bought it, the people said that it had been there for years and had just not moved. So they had kind of turned it into a display piece because it had just been there for so long. So I feel really lucky that I was able to get this piece. This lamp was bought from another secondhand shop local to here, and it actually was a ginger jar that they had made into a lamp, is what the owner had told me. And so I totally adored the green color, and I just thought that it was so special. And the scale of it is so large that it really fits well in this space with these tall ceilings. Now, this piece of art is another piece that my daughter and I made together about 9 years ago. So she was pretty young at the time. She's 16 now, and so she was about 7 years old or so. I thought it would be really fun to have this mother-daughter project that we did. So we set it up on the back porch, and I thought we'd make all these flowers. And about 2 flowers into it, she was done with the project. And so I was then committed. I wasn't really sure what we were going to do. I decided to put them up on this big canvas, and I actually I love it. I love that it's tonal. I had thought I might paint the flowers at some point. I just love that it adds texture. It's a fun memory of something that she and I had done together, because then she would pop in and out to check on me to see how it was coming along. But again, this was all in my attempt just to be able to fill the walls in my house. And so I am never going to shy away from actually just kind of being hands-on and kind of solving a problem. If I don't have something immediately that I know I can fill the space, I just go ahead and try to make it. Green is another color that often comes into my space, and I belong to a Facebook group that is a thrift club Facebook group. And members will post things on there. And this rug was posted by a member on there. And she lived in DC, which DC is about 6 hours from Chapel Hill. But as soon as I saw the colors and the size, I knew that we had to have it. And so she was kind enough to hold it for me. And we drove up to DC the next day, 6 hours up, 6 hours back, to be able to get this beautiful rug. It has green in it, which green rugs are actually a little bit tricky to find, but the fact that it had the greens and pinks and blues and everything, I just absolutely love it. If someone was to ask me if I love working on client homes or my home more, those are both totally different. I love working on my own home. I get so much joy and energy, and it fills my cup to do things around my house, to change things up, to add pattern, to bring in old and new, to bring in different colors and textures. And I actually love sharing the process of being able to do that with others, but it doesn't have to be in a client's home. It's really just kind of sharing it more to the masses, whether it's on Instagram or whatever it might be. I love my home. I love creating a home that is an amazing place for my family. But I will say it can sometimes be a little more challenging working on your own home, kind of pulling the trigger. I can either make a decision really quickly, or I know all of the options that are out there, and so then I'm trying to figure it out, or I've used something that I love in a client's home before, so I don't want to reuse it in my own home. So that can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge, is really finding things that I think are just totally unique and exciting. And usually I find pieces and then find a place for them in my home. I don't necessarily go out searching for a specific item. A lot of the items that come into my home are because I've just come across them, and then I find a place for them in my home. Now I want to welcome you into our breakfast nook. And so one of the things that I always find about kitchens and breakfast nooks is everyone always finds their way here. And so instead of fighting that, I just wanted to embrace it. There used to be a built-in banquette that was made out of just wood when we bought the house, and it didn't quite fill up this wall and came a little bit in front of this window here. And so I loved the functionality of the banquette, but I wanted something a little bit cozier. So when we redid our kitchen, we had a local restaurant banquette maker make this banquette for this space, because I just wanted to create somewhere where people could sit and relax and talk to whoever's in the kitchen and just kind of hang out here if that's what they want to do. We centered everything with this big, huge mirror, because mirrors, again, they reflect light. It makes spaces feel bigger. And we had this mirror, and it just perfectly fit on this wall above here. So I feel like it makes this nook area really bright. These are just clear Lucite Chiavari chairs that you often see at like rental companies, and I just loved them, so we use them for our regular day-to-day. They're perfect with kids and families because they wipe up easily, but also visually they're not too heavy in this corner. And that's one of the things that I love about this vintage table as well, is that it's big, but it doesn't weigh the space down. So it allows us to see the rug. It allows this whole space to really feel open. And then it balances this really oversized pendant that we have hanging up here. So now let's take a walk into my kitchen. So the kitchen was one of the first major projects that we did in this house. When we moved into this house, I had a year left of my PhD program, and my husband said that as soon as I finished, then we could redo the kitchen. The kitchen before used to be really closed off, and so actually there was a half wall that came across here, though there was just one small window here. And there was this really big corner pantry that took up this entire corner. And then this entry into the hallway was 2 doors. And so we really had to reimagine this space and how we wanted it to function, and really wanted to open it up for the rest of the house. And so we took everything out. The first thing we did was try to figure out how to make this wall symmetrical right here, with really getting some more light into here. We took out the big corner pantry, and we were able to add in everything. One of the things that people always ask us is, where's our fridge and freezer? And so we have a full freezer on this side, and then our fridge is on this side. And we have it integrated in so that it just looks like the cabinetry. The island is something that we use more than anything else in the kitchen, and we knew that we wanted a really big space. And so we decided just to embrace the size of the island and really just maximize it. I'd say if design style wise, it would probably be called a galley kitchen. It's a little bit bigger than a galley kitchen, but it's very similar in terms of the shape and everything, because we don't have actual seating in our kitchen. This is really just like a super functional kitchen. So I had wanted to do a more modern touch, and so we did the waterfall island with our beautiful stone. And then we also made sure that with the stone, I wanted to have a full backsplash of the same stone. And so our fabricator, again, worked with us, was able to work with us on getting all of the details around the window trim, and then also how the counter goes right into the windows here. And I think that it just creates a really elegant, kind of flow throughout. And the veining on this marble is just so beautiful. So it just has a lot of movement to it. We have an amazing trim carpenter, and he was able to add this design detail here. If you can see it, it's a slightly raised pyramid. So my husband's family is French, and his parents live in France. And in Paris, one of the things that you always see are beautiful doors. And throughout Paris, there's oftentimes doors with these raised diamond panels. And so we wanted to kind of incorporate that part of our heritage into the kitchen a little bit. And so he added those diamond details throughout these hutch cabinets. And the counters all continue on underneath so that we have kind of full use of those cabinets inside. He also was able to create this beautiful wooden hood for us, and he said this was actually the most complicated thing he's ever built for us. I don't understand exactly why, but it has like triple angles in it. He said it was more complicated actually than our ceiling in our dining room. And it's because this is all made out of wood. It's not plaster. And so he did all of the angles in wood, and then we added a little bit of a brass detail there. My husband loves to cook. I am not really much of a cook, but I do love a beautiful kitchen. And so we did purchase, this more commercial range for this space. But one of the things that I always tell people, like we got this, it was a floor model as they were transitioning out styles. So I always tell people with purchases like this, make sure that you look at all of your options because we got lucky on the timing to be able to get one of the floor models. And then everything in the kitchen is super functional. So we have our dishwasher in the island and it's hidden with a panel. We have a drink fridge in here. We also have our outlets. So there's always an aesthetic component to our house, but there's always a functional part as well. And that is super duper important to me. We absolutely love having a pot filler here, which just makes it so that we don't have to worry about spilling and everything. But this was a detail that we really wanted to add in this kitchen, and we absolutely love having that here. And then something unexpected, I think, that people always comment on is the wallpaper in the kitchen. And so normally I'm not one to do like just one accent wall, but once our kitchen was finished, we wanted the white, we have a mushroom color on the island, and we had all the movement from the marble, but something about it just felt sterile. And so we wanted to be able to kind of just add a little bit of a pause for people when they looked at it, like, hold it. That was not expected. And this is kind of our unexpected moment here, is adding this clouds mural wallpaper. Two of my favorite pieces of art that we own are these pet portraits. Now, these are by a Canadian artist, Kari Soreo. And you can't tell from just looking at it, but these are actually encaustic. And encaustic is when someone paints with liquid wax. And so they melt the wax down and then they actually paint with the wax. And she does amazing animal portraits with the antlers and the other creatures around. And so I had asked if she would create pet portraits, and she always puts little outfits on them. So we worked together to get the colors just right. This is our older dog that's since passed, and then this is our puppy Ruby. She added in the gold detailing, and I just think these are just exquisite. They are so treasured for us, and so we decided to make them front and center in the kitchen because the kitchen is the heart of the home, and so we just adore our dogs. So these are super important and treasured for us. Another thing that I'd be remiss not to talk about is the lighting in here. And so this is our third home that we've owned. And in every home that we've owned, we have a Capiz chandelier. It started out as just something that we had in our first home. We fell in love with the light. And so we had a Capiz chandelier there. Then in our second home, we also put a Capiz chandelier in that home. And then when it came time to design this kitchen, I saw these Capiz chandeliers and decided that, you know, we needed to have another Capiz light moment. And so these are super oversized. They're definitely not your traditional kitchen light or kitchen pendant, but I just love them. Sometimes when the windows open, they make a little bit of a noise, and they just add so much just texture, and they're just another conversation piece that we have, but they're also super functional because they have like 6 bulbs in them. So it adds the light that we need, but it also, this is like the jewelry for our kitchen. And I always think of lighting as kind of the jewelry for a space, and this is definitely creates that moment in the kitchen. Now we are going to walk down the main hallway of my home. This leads to our living room and our entry on this side, but it also leads directly into the primary bedroom. And so the one thing with hallways is that I always tell people not to forget to decorate the hallway. And so we have this really fun graphic wallpaper here. It's brown and cream, so it's graphic, but it also has kind of more neutral colors. And then this artwork was another set of art that my kids and I made together. So I had seen these beautiful framed agate pieces of art years and years ago, and they were out of my price point. And so my kids and I went to the local science museum. We went into the gift shop and bought the agate slices, and then got these frames and just created our own art out of them. I have them lacquered in this deep red color, and then I pretty much will put a tassel on anything that's not standing or moving, and even if something is moving. And so we added the fun tassels to them too. So it just creates a little bit of movement, a little bit of excitement, something interesting to look at. I kind of think of it like as an art gallery. It's a space that we have to go down and back multiple times a day, so we might as well make it fun and exciting. And then the lighting in here, we have this beautiful light here. Again, I've talked about like having nostalgia to other homes that we've owned. And this light, we actually had a larger version of this chandelier in the last home that we owned. And so I put a smaller one here. And then we also have these really fun, just more modern Kelly Wearstler sconces that I had gotten on a like end of season closing sale from a local home decor company. And I was so excited to get those because they add so much fun and just kind of a modern touch to the hallway. My biggest tip for people when they're trying to find their personal sense of style is if you have an immediate reaction to something, and it just lights you up inside, then I think that you should just embrace it and run with it. I think a lot of times people think too much about the rules of the home and colors that they think should go together and patterns that they think should go together. And I just think all of that needs to go out the window. And I think that it's just amazing for people to really be able to embrace color and pattern and texture if that's what really lights them up inside. And if it's not, then that's also okay. And so I always say, don't overthink it. And most things in a home can be changed really easily. And so just go for it, give it a try. And I think that usually people are happy that they do. And don't worry about what other people think. Because everyone is going to have their own opinion about a home or what it's supposed to feel like, but the only person that it matters to is you and the people that are living in it. My favorite thing about my home are the people that are in it, but I love that we have created an environment that is bold yet cozy. It has a lot of different features. It is warm and welcoming, but yet just maybe a touch formal in some places. I just love the location. We love living in Chapel Hill, which is a college town. And yeah, we just love the layout of our home. We really love everything about it. We could not be happier here. And now I am pleased to show you our primary bedroom. One of the things that drew us to this house was the fact that we have a first floor primary bedroom, which is not super common in our neighborhood, but it was something that we really were drawn to because it just makes it easier as you're getting older or if you have older relatives that are visiting or anything. And so we absolutely love this space. It's beautiful and big. My husband added all of the wall molding onto the walls because it just felt a little bit too kind of typical for us. So he built all these frames and we added the detail there. So it just adds a little bit of a subtle texture to it. And then so a lot of times people try to use like really soft and soothing colors in a bedroom. And I've tried doing that and it just does not necessarily suit my taste. So when I had found this amazing vervain fabric, I fell in love with it. Again, it repeats colors that you see throughout my home, and having a first floor primary bedroom, I thought that was just really important. And so I had these draperies made in this amazing fabric and then use those colors to pull out throughout the home. The ceiling is again a tray ceiling, which we have the crown was added by the previous owners on the inside of it. And then we painted the inside of the ceiling. It's palladium blue by Benjamin Moore. And that color was actually the color of built-ins in our last house. Again, I just love to have these kind of nostalgic little touches throughout. The rug was a Facebook Marketplace find. This sofa is actually an Emerson Bentley, and it's another furniture market sample that I found at a local vintage store. And the fabric is just amazing. It goes perfectly with the palladium blue. One of my favorite features of it is these cracked lucite legs, because I just think that it takes this super traditional fabric and shape, and then it just shakes it up a little bit, because again, we're all about the traditional with a twist. The artwork in here is really special. So this is an Elizabeth Foster, who I think is also out of Nashville. And this was the gift from my husband and kids to me when I finished my PhD. And I had seen it. It's just whimsical. And I absolutely had fallen in love with it when I had seen it, and they surprised me with it. My daughter loves elephants and always has. And so I just love everything about it. I could look at it and it just makes me feel happy when I look at it. So we decided to put this front and center in our bedroom. And it also reminds me of surviving the PhD program. The other art that I have in this room, so this is an English artist, Jack Verhaeghe. And again, it's that juxtaposition between different styles. So this is a Mylar balloon that he hand draws. I love hyper-realistic art, and so this was a hyper-realistic print of a piece that he had made, and I just fell in love with the colors and just kind of the nuance of it, and then the fact that it's a heart. I thought it was perfect for our primary bedroom. And then I have this other piece of art up here, which I decided to play with scale a little bit because usually everything is so oversized. And when I got this piece, it just felt at home up there with everything else that's going on. The scale is a little bit smaller purposefully because I still think that it makes such a statement up there. You have the deep red that I have throughout. We have plenty of closet space, so I didn't need more space for storage in our master bedroom. So we decided to get console tables and use those as our side tables instead. They're a wrapped grass cloth. They actually used to be more of a neutral color, but They were turning a little bit in color and yellowing, and so we decided to go ahead and lacquer them just in this fun deep red that you see throughout our home. The only thing in this room that we purchased new, we had originally purchased the console tables new and our bed new. Everything else was a secondhand find. Including the lamps, and actually these wall sconces came from the same attic as my entryway chandelier. And so as soon as I saw them, I had no idea where I was going to put them, but I was so excited about it. So talking about kind of the colorful Southern style, it's not really a Southern home if you don't have a monogram. And so we have our monogram in here. This bedding is all from Biscuit, which is based out of Texas. And I love that it has the faux bois color on it. That's the palladium blue color, but then adding in kind of the more traditional shams and everything. So we have just a lot of kind of color, texture, and pattern, just like you see in the rest of the house. I did the same with our master bedroom. So now I'm going to show you the most used and most functional room in our house. And this is a actual combo room for us. It's a mudroom, it's a laundry room, and it's a butler's pantry. Now this space did not exist when we bought the house. There used to be a hallway here and here with a door to our garage. There was no way to get to our driveway without going through the garage. And so we really wanted to create this space to be super functional for our family. So one of the things we did, we added a friend door because we are in the South, and that way we have this side door that leads into our driveway that people can kind of come and go without having to go through our front door. And then we have all of these cubbies here, which we have cubbies for storage for my kids, but then we also have a laundry chute, which is a really fun detail. So our kids just throw their clothes from the second floor down the laundry chute, and it comes into this cabinet, and then we can do the laundry. So entertaining is one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were thinking about. And also, again, it goes back to like the aesthetics and the functionality of the home. And so we do have this serving window that we put in, and it has a counter here. And so when people are over, and even actually just for us during the summer and when we want to eat out there, we can just open and close this window without having to necessarily have the doors open. And then as you walk down this way towards the laundry section of the room, we ended up putting retractable doors onto our laundry. And again, because I love art, I have art hidden in every space, including in my laundry cabinet. And so this is super functional for us. We can open it when we need to, but we can also close it when we don't. And then coming down here, the dog just went out of the dog door. That was something that we weren't sure if we should add it, and we're so happy that we did, because she can kind of come in and sun herself and go in and out as she pleases. And then we also built in this dog station for her as well. And so we have her crate area, which she likes to just go in sometimes when she just wants to kind of snuggle up herself. And then we also have her dog feeding station. And one of the things that we did is we added in a pet or a deck mounted faucet, so that we didn't have to worry about spilling and the kids, spilling or anything. We could just fill up the faucet, the water bowl from the faucet right here, and be able to really have that functionality. This is kind of a butler's pantry area. It can be a laundry sink if we need it to be, but we have our nugget ice maker here. We have a beverage fridge here, and then we have just kind of all of this storage here, we decided, because I had that black marble chandelier in the front, I wanted to bring a black stone somewhere else into the house. And so when we were choosing a stone for here, instead of going with a white marble, we decided to go with a black natural stone to really tie that in. And again, my husband and I templated out the exact shape that we wanted for this. We had an oval window in our last house and just thought that it was special. And so when we were adding on this space, we decided to put an oval window in instead of kind of your more traditional rectangular window. And I just love how it frames the woods behind our house and creates a little bit more of an architectural detail. I would be remiss not to mention our plate wall that we have. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted for art in here, I kind of just let things happen. And I had started collecting a lot of plates and was trying to decide where I had them. And for a long time, I had plates just flanking either side of the window, and they looked amazing. But then I was collecting plates when I would see them either on clearance or at thrift shops or vintage shops. And so I was trying to figure out what to do with them, and just collected enough that I finally was able to kind of hang them all and fill this wall. And it just creates such a fun entry for us. This is our garage. And so the first thing we see when we walk in is this just super fun plate wall that each plate has kind of a little bit of a story, or kind of just is just fun to look at. And I feel like you can look at it so many times and still notice something that you necessarily haven't noticed before. So I just think it's such a fun way to add texture to walls, and people tend to just have a lot of plates hanging around. So it's just a way to kind of just do something fun and different with them. And this is a very Southern thing, I feel like, is to have a plate wall. So this is just a little bit of a different take on that traditional plate wall. So the ceiling is, again, because we're in Chapel Hill and the Tar Heels is Carolina blue, I really wanted to add some blue into this space. And so this is hydrangea draped wallpaper. And so hydrangeas too are super Southern. And I really loved that it was linear, but it had a lot of texture and pattern to it. And so I thought that it would really draw you in and out of this room, whichever direction you're going. And so we added that there, and then we painted the cabinets a custom color to match that wallpaper. And this chandelier is interesting because it's the exact same style as the one in the front. And when I had found that one in somebody's attic, everyone said that lightning wouldn't strike twice. But I was trying to desperately find something similar to that, and I came across this. And the manufacturer had, for some reason, clearanced it down to an unreal price. And so I ordered it, not knowing if it was actually going to show up. I thought the order was actually going to get canceled. And it delivered. It was a mistake on the website, but they honored that mistake. And so I was able to get it. It's the white marble version. So I have the black in the front entryway, and then I have the white back here. And I just absolutely love the fact that we were able to get two of the same lights, but we got them very different ways. But each has their own story. And again, with the Ram and living in Chapel Hill and kind of just embracing our hometown, which is a college town, we have our paper mache Ram that greets people as they come and go throughout the house. Home to me means joy, it means love, it means comfort, and it just means being with people that I love and surrounded by things that I love as well. Homeworthy, it's been so fun showing you around my house today, but now it's time to go. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.